Welcome viewers to Historical Journeys. A truck carrying materials to the building site at the rear of the Pelham Corps Departments, backing into the side road that runs off 21st Street Trundles through the streets of Washington, D.C. late in September 1924. The driver begins to panic as the truck falters and its tires begin to slide on the pavement. What in heaven's name is going on? Then, at that point, the vehicle's standby opens up the ground underneath its haggles, diving into a pit of laborers in D.C., uncovered a weird organization of ways. Then its actual reason became known. But before we get started, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. It only takes a second, and you won't miss any of our future videos. Let's get started. Individuals hurried to see the reason why the vehicle tumbled off the street, and they were stunned. Instead of earth, bricks cover the pit. Several of the bricks form an 8-meter-long tunnel that is protected by a row of illuminated bricks that clearly show the decoration. The couple strolled around 60 meters when they experienced an obstruction. Not only janitors and landlords are interested. As he looked, a group had started to assemble. Individuals accumulated in the roads, grasping leaves, destroying the ground to find what lay underneath. Increasingly few organizations have online entertainment set up, some of which cost $6 to see. With this multitude of issues at the highest point of the passage, there are fears that another cavern will show up, and police should go to individuals far away from the site. The account of the stream's starting point will be uncovered. Some accept it was a mysterious path or refuge worked during the nationwide conflict, or even the conflict of 1812. In any case, the passage is long, more than 100 meters in length and 22 meters wide, and astonishingly splendidly lit. Individuals spread data about the passage and its size and intricacy considerably more than its starting points, despite the fact that it is a secret. As indicated by individuals acquainted with the matter, there are 2 houses close to his siblings' home. The other brother is single, while the first brother has a beautiful wife. Obviously, even before the rail lines were constructed, these weren't the main metros in Washington. For instance, there was a whole organization under the legislative center that is as yet utilized today by individuals who need to effortlessly move, starting with one government site then onto the next. There are something like 19 passages inside as far as possible alone, some of which are sufficiently enormous to go over the old passages worked in the last part of the 1800s to run out of the legislative center. New passage, similar to this. After being destroyed by fire by the British in 1812, it had to be rebuilt. Streets interface the cash flow to the Russell Senate place of business, as well as structures and weapons. The passageways of the Legislative Hall are straightforward in plan. However, the passages resemble a parkway loaded up with monetary establishments and cafes. A portion of the trenches stream from the workplaces of the James Madison Remembrance to the specialists who keep up with the State House, and they're fortunate in the event that they're parched. Ultimately, Legislative Hall staff wound up working light rail, and afterward light rail, and soon a full organization with lines reaching out to a few government structures. The White House Underground is one of the other subways in the area. There is a cleared substantial walkway between the east and west wings of the official royal residence. Government officials will be safeguarded in the event of a nuclear attack because we are aware that theaters will survive. That is not by any means the only thing you'll track down under the White House. There is one more passage with direct access from the east side of the Oval Office. If the White House is attacked, this is how the president should get away. Notwithstanding the Legislative Hall, there are different elements somewhere else in Washington. There is a connection between the Smithsonian Castle and the National Museum of History that runs 700 meters below the city streets. No, this region has a line coordinating steam underneath the public shopping center. Underground, you can likewise track down the grave of George Washington. Be that as it may, you won't see the outcomes in Washington itself. He received a resounding no from his family when he inquired about the state of the remains. Washington needed to be evaluated by regarded relatives. However, the passage uncovers that 21st Road stays a secret. A few local people think they have the response, yet say they'd known everything regarding what's underneath the ground, and it took them years to see the proprietor of the land. Who is this muscle in Dale Jr.? He concentrated on bugs in scholarly community, and in the event that his public life was turbulent and disputable, his confidential life was a delight. Dyer reported and named large number of bugs, and his work on mosquitoes and sawflies was relatively radical. There is no question that Dale's progress in raising, supporting, and preparing his hatchlings was the consequence of such a lot of exertion. Toward the finish of his work, he proposed the law of staining, which permitted researchers to foresee the number and state of a bug's parts in view of the size of its head when it was a hatchlings. However, the bugs expected to keep on being considered and gathered. Honey was not exceptionally famous at that point. He wrote on paper, using symbols that no one could understand when he wrote the text. He could have done without battles, and the counter-Semitic environment at the Smithsonian Foundation, where he worked, drove him mad about the formality encompassing the establishment, which implied it had been happening for quite a while. For him, work. As he started composing the book, Dyer had another spat with his companions, one of whom was so sickened by his way of behaving that he believed nothing should do with the Smithsonian, at the point when Dyer was as yet one of them. Dyer's own life was violent. He was hitched to a lady named Zella who stood out for him by sending moths and butterflies. However, it was subsequently uncovered that he was keen on another person. That individual was Waleska Pollock, an educator I met during my examination in the Appalachian Mountains. In 1906, Waleska professed to be Wilfred P.'s significant other. She was only having one issue. Alan does not appear to be real. So how did you and Waleska have 3 kids? It's normal for Zara to be dubious. However, she demands that nothing happened to Eska. This is clear when Waleska attempted to get a separation. She was denied a divorce because the judge simply did not accept Alan's existence. Be that as it may, was Esha hitched all things considered. Indeed, she wedded Dyer in 1906. Specifically, Dyer was married twice and had 2 families. At the point when reality emerged, he lost his union with Zell and his work, and wound up lawfully wedding Waleska. Dyer himself was profoundly involved. In any event, distributing a magazine about the confidence. Despite the fact that he kept on composing his journal until his demise, his perspectives were not generally welcomed by numerous Baptists. Dyer stayed quiet about reality. Correct. Before moving to the West, he constructed the road between 1906 and 1916. Indeed, everything began when he was cultivating for Zella Dyer, making beds for her blossoms, he told the Washington Star. He had a compelling inclination to follow, and Dyer constructed an entire organization of block walkways lit by power. In any case, there is confidential. What in the world constrained Dyer to search so sincerely for such a long time? He made sense of that his side interest was digging burrows after work. There isn't anything truly secretive about it. All things considered, Dyer says, 21st Road is definitely not confidential or anything. Like other children in the neighborhood, Otis, one of his sons, enjoys playing on the playground. Also, individuals might have seen him scrambling to get soil and blocks to fabricate streets in deserted regions nearby. Terrible news spread and individuals thought there was a fracture between one individual from his family and another. However, it wasn't. The houses were miles separated, and he likely didn't involve the street for secret testing, since Otis and others could sneak in at whatever point he and Waleska were seen. Dyer also created a new method for nesting. Gotten the B Street, we fabricated a decent room in the southwest, which went down 6 meters to the floor. Questions have likewise been raised about Dyer's reason for death. Furthermore, when he did, Dyer couldn't help it. Building your own passage network appears to be somewhat strange, yet it appears Dyer didn't really utilize a passage organization. There was no money and no indication of anybody utilizing the passage to play with the kids. You leave this terrible world. The structures on the road were taken over by the branch of agribusiness. It was subsequently proposed that it very well may be utilized as an air guard during the Second Great War. In any case, in the long run, when the FAA base camp was constructed, the whole organization fell. The 21st Street Network began broadcasting news again in 1958. A man named Louis Corder found the entry during development. Code captured her youngsters in the passage, and their photographs showed up in the Washington Post. It's very much produced using what I've seen, and I'm likely the one in particular who recalls that the entry is fixed with concrete. However, Chip accepts that the development work has made the passage framework break down over the long run, leaving just the memory of the bugs that dug the ways. Thanks for watching. If you want to stay updated with our latest videos, subscribing is the way to go. Just click that red button below and become a part of our channel family.